NextLevelMetaMAN here, and I'm about to head to my locals in about 30 minutes, so let me just throw this out here and get another video for y'all tomorrow. Now, for one, this video is going to be taken up in two parts. One, with a little bit of announcement that I'm talking about later when it comes to this whole next great YouTuber competition, so if you're interested in that, it'll probably be the tail end of the video, but that's not what the main focus is here today. And the main focus is, I've noticed Cyber Dragon Infinity is getting around. Now, allow me to explain. For one, I was saying that it's fine because only Cyber Dragons can use it. Cyber Dragons need all the support they get. That's great, right? But then Cyber Dragon Infinity started whoring around everywhere. We had to start off with Polymaeus, this card. And now we have it with a bunch of different engines like Galaxy Soldier and things like that. And it's starting to get a little bit excessive. Now granted, we're going to have the same problem on a much smaller scale later on when it comes to Tree Toad, but we'll cross that bridge when it comes. At first, my stance on it was the fact that it's not splashable and decks would really have to go out of their way to run it, which made the card okay. It made it so that, hey, you know, you got to be running some really niche shit to be able to use this card, and even if you do, maybe it's not all that worth it because you can't plus at it. Boy, was I wrong. Now, to be honest with you, the biggest offender of this problem is probably ABCs. You know, granted, we did see in a bunch of deck lists and a bunch of people from our locals also playing Galaxy Soldier and Blue Eyes. Now, that's just a possibility. I don't really know about its effectiveness in Blue Eyes, but they can run it with relative efficiency, all things considered. Now, the real issue is the fact that even a new Pendulum deck on the rise that runs Cleafort Scout and Monolith to be able to bring it out is also just seems like a bit too much. Maybe there's too many cards that can fit the requirement that are able to be splashable in the game that is being presented to us right now. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but everything seems to be collapsing in on itself. A game that was so archetype based and linear in terms of deck building is starting to get sloppy. Some people can see that as diverse, but I don't know if you guys know this, but that's one of Yu-Gi-Oh's biggest issues. Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have a separate mana pool like Magic does to separate cards by attribute or anything of that nature. We just have names, archetypes, effects that separate cards from each other that says this card can't be used with this card and such and so forth. This is why archetypes were originally created, and you can always bring up the argument that maybe that's not so good for Yu-Gi-Oh! But I can tell you that that's why archetypes were created. And ever since the creation of archetypes, there's been a bit of problem cards. Cards that you can splash in a small engine for to get access to cards that you really shouldn't have. That's why this card was banned, because that isn't necessarily a good thing. Giving every deck its own identity and way to play and certain outs and certain things is what makes Yu-Gi-Oh special. And I might not want to see it go back to how it was before archetypes were invented, where everyone just throws the best cards in the game into one deck and you got another tier 0 deck. Now, I'm not saying that's how Yu-Gi-Oh is going to turn out to be, and I'm not saying that that's necessarily happening now. What I am saying is that Konami seems to have a certain bias against these kind of cards. Because of that, I honestly think something might have to happen to Infinity. Every time they take away some of its ability to be consistently brought out in the meta or splashable in a bunch of different engines, another archetype, another set of cards, another method arises to make use of it. And maybe that's not such a good thing. Moving on to the next card that's probably going to be right up here with this one is Tree Toad. Tree Toad is pretty fucking good. Now, I do plan to run the card in Heroes. That card is good. But I do also worry about its splashability. Maybe pseudo Quasars shouldn't be in every deck. And I honestly think that maybe those type of cards, maybe this one-time monster negate cards that seem to be going so rampant in Yu-Gi-Oh right now are a bit of a problem. I feel like Konami's overdone what's a good thing. And maybe giving these monsters so much protection isn't necessarily a good thing. I feel that that's something Trap should do. That's something that Back Row should try to handle. When monsters start taking what Traps do and does it better, you may have a little bit of a problem. And which could also be why Traps have seemed to completely fallen out of the game. Now at the same time, don't get me wrong, this is all speculation and theory talking and everything of that nature, but do you guys think that these type of cards are hurting the game? Do you think it's helping the game? Do you think that splashable cards, especially as powerful as these, is a good thing? And sort of like a tribute to how Yu-Gi-Oh! Used to be back in the day? Or do you like the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Sort of is nowadays, where everything's sort of sectioned off in its own little archetype and it stays in this little hole, which sort of dampers a little bit on deck building, but helps a little bit more in terms of balance and diversity? But with that being said, let me know in the comments. I'm really curious to see sort of the community sort of lead on this, and where do you guys think Yu-Gi-Oh's going if it continues down this road? Now, I'm pretty sure for some of you, this is probably where the video ends, because I'm going to talk about the next great Yu-Gi-Tuber stuff, and it seems like some people just don't want to hear about that shit, so that's fine. Past this part is talking about the Yu-Gi-Tuber thing, and if you're interested, hey, you know, help me out, it'd be great, but moving on. Okay, so a little bit of information about the history of this channel and where it seems to be going. I started this 3 months ago. Right? I had a clear goal in mind, a sort of mix between the RJB0 and Nim Nim's sort of old style of doing things, mixed with my own corny ass sense of humor. All things considered, it seems to be going pretty fucking great. It's just, there is always a strive to do better. There's always a strive to do more. Now, one of the biggest things that I'm trying to do with this is just sort of asking you guys, what do you like about this channel? What is it, the thing that you keep coming back for, so I can just sort of replicate it to get more people involved? One of the biggest things that I'm trying to do right now to sort of get exposure and grow this sort of, you know, pretty chill community that we got going so far is entering the next great Yu-Gi-Tuber. My first round is against another pretty good guy, so to be honest with you, I'm probably gonna need all the support I can get. But with that being said, I would greatly appreciate that. Please subscribe to Nim Nim's channel to see how things are going on that front. I'll let you guys know when the video goes up. First round is a card destruction, which I honestly think I can ace out of the fucking woodwork. But we'll just have to see how it goes. But more importantly than the next great Yu-Gi-Tuber, I'm thinking about bringing back the Yu-Gi-Oh stories, which was my first video, which is horrible quality. Okay, don't be thinking this video is actually good. It's horrible quality, but I'm thinking about bringing it back for a more quality-like standpoint, just to see what you guys think about that. Have a more chill discussions about the anime. And yeah, I'm one of them nerds that like the anime. We can talk about that too. But I guess this is more of a question of, where do you guys think that this channel fits in the Yu-Gi-Oh community? What do you think is the highlight? What do you think is the direction that it can go? And honestly, what would you like to see? I'm trying to put out videos on a more consistent basis, and your feedback would be most appreciated. And I'd just like to assure you that the next great Yu-Gi-Tuber stuff isn't going to influence content on this channel. When one Yu-Gi-Tuber, you know, championship thing is up, this is gonna be doing, you know, same amount of videos, same thing. It's not gonna, you know, decrease any content on that front. But yeah, you can find out about it, you know, in the future. But until next time, all right, peace.